If you're anything like me, you've kind of always wished there was some cartridge in between a 380 and a 9mm. You know, it's like I carry a pocket 380, I'm confident in it. I like to carry it because it's actually smaller than most of the pocket 9s, but there's always this little voice inside that says, yeah, but is the 380 enough? I'll be the first to admit that I have touted that if you use the right ammunition, a 380 can be very effective, and it can be. But then again, to have something that's just a little better, more like a 9mm, would certainly give me a little more confidence. And that's exactly what Vista has done by announcing the 30 Super Carry. Now, I've got some early engineering samples here, and I was actually really privileged to attend an event at Nighthawk Custom hosted by Vista Outdoors also, and that was where a group of writers got together with them, and we were told about this, hot new cartridge. Well, of course, initially we're all sitting around the table and we're thinking, yeah, right, okay, what's this going to be? Some new 9mm load or something like that. But when they actually brought cartridges out and they set them around the table and they started talking about the performance envelope and what they were getting in the real world in gel and velocities, it really got our attention, because it's like suddenly, is this that cartridge that's in between a 380 and a 9mm? And we were soon to learn that indeed it is. Let's take a minute and talk about stopping power. And a lot of people like to quote foot-pounds of energy and whatnot. I found that to actually have no bearing on reality. What stops people is penetration and permanent wound channel. And what that means is that if you shoot something like an animal or a person, if the bullet penetrates deeply enough to reach vital organs, and during that trip cuts a broad enough channel to cause rapid blood loss, that lowers the blood pressure, which then shuts off the brain. And that's essentially how that kind of a stopping power stop in a shooting occurs. There's another type of stop, and that's where basically you hit a brain or a spine or something like that, and then it's really irrelevant as to what caliber you're using. So that's always been the challenge with the sort of 380 9mm platform. Historically, the bullets have been maybe a little light for caliber. They weren't reliable when it came to expansion. But over about the last 20 years, the big names, Federal, Spear, CCI, and those kind of companies have developed engineering excellence in bullet construction. And today, we actually have a good solid cross-section of high-performance bullets which open reliably, both in the real world, and you can duplicate that performance in controlled testing, like with gel and penetration tests. So how much is enough, and why do we keep chasing this? Well, the benchmark is about, say, 12 inches or so. If you can get that deep into a torso, you're going to be reaching vital organs. I like to see expansion in the 50 to 60 or 65 caliber range. And what the boys from Vista told us was that with the 30 Super Carry, which is a .312 diameter bullet, essentially a 32 really, they're able to get 12 inches of penetration with their top quality HST and Gold Dot branded bullets, with very similar performance and expansion that you would get from a similar 9mm. And that actually really got our attention, because now suddenly there is a level of reliability with penetration from a small pocket-sized gun and still offer the 9mm style performance. What was interesting, and I think my hat's off to the guys at Vista, is that the ballistic engineers there decided not to try to chase the barrier penetration and all that kind of stuff, but let's keep it real world. And so what they did was they used basically clothing over gel. And that's more akin to what just Sam and Susie Homemaker like you and I would encounter if we had a defensive shooting. And what they found was that the 30 Super Carry with the 115 grain style HST Gold Dot bullets were expanding to 55 caliber, give or take a little bit, and penetrating that sort of magic 12 inches or so. Sometimes they would actually outperform similar 9mm loads. Now I'm using a Nighthawk custom model that they have modified specifically to chamber the 30 Super Carry. Normally this is a 9mm gun, and they had to do some special engineering, sort of retrofitting. Of course, they barrel chambered in the proper caliber and some tweaking to extractors and ejectors and things like that. You can't just drop 30 carry in any 9mm gun. It does have to be specifically chambered and engineered to fit that cartridge. However, it basically fits in any platform that can use 9mm right now. So Smith & Wesson is going to be offering the Shield EZ and Shield models. Nighthawk Custom has these two, but I think that opens the doors to other manufacturers. If you essentially have a pocket 9mm now, you could have a pocket 30 Super Carry and carry 1 to 2 additional rounds in the same size gun. Now I realize we're talking a lot about this, but I think it deserves the attention because it took us quite a while to really wrap our heads around it. At the Nighthawk Custom and Vista event, collectively there was about a half a dozen of us, and we fired probably, I don't know, a couple thousand rounds of this 30 Super Carry. And what I came away with was it worked 100%. We all limp-wristed and shot upside down and did silly things like that. The gun was very controllable. Fast moving slide, low level of recoil, similar to a 9mm. I felt it was a little bit less than that. And I liked the fact that it carried more capacity in a same size gun. And then it was remarkably accurate. We were bringing 8-inch steel falling plates at 50 yards shooting offhand. And I normally don't have the degree of success with a 9mm that I was having with this gun. And I attribute that, I think, to the fact that it's flat shooting and it's high velocity. And it's also high pressure. It's 40 to 50,000 PSI, and that's in the realm of a .308 rifle. But modern engineering, steels, gun design, modern powders, lets the manufacturers be able to control all that in what's essentially a pocket pistol. I think that's pretty amazing. Well, I've got the engineering samples. I've only got a 115 and a 100 truncated full metal jacket. And so let's put some over the chronograph so you can see what happens in the real world. While we do this, be thinking 32 H&R Magnum, because I think that's essentially what you've got here. You know, a 115 at 1,200 feet per second, give or take a little bit, and revolver shooters have had that for a long time, but they've been restricted to 6 rounds. Well, what this does is this gives semi-auto pistol carriers 32 H&R Magnum type performance, but in a much higher capacity gun, and I think that's pretty important. Okay, I've got my new competition electronics chronograph setup, which by the way is really cool. It Bluetooths to your phone using an app and keeps track of the shots and everything. What I'm gonna do is shoot 6 rounds, 3 of the truncated flat nose, 100 grain, and 3 of the 115 grain with the HST bullet. And we'll get a sense of what the real world velocity is from this Nighthawk custom gun. And this is actually something I use all the time from EyePal USA, and it allows me to see the sight picture sharper than I would otherwise because I'm an old guy. So, all right, let's do this. Okay, well, let's see here. We've got 1173, 1175, 1195, 1171, 1152, 1195. So overall, that's really consistent, which I also found very interesting. This has been my experience as I've chronographed additional ammunition. So obviously the engineers there have sorted this out really well. When you get that kind of consistency, that usually means you also have really good accuracy, and we'll check that now. Okay, we're set up here at about 20 yards, and I've got a full gun load, which is 11 rounds, so it's 10 and 1, as opposed to 9 and 1 if it was 9mm. So every little bit helps. I'm gonna go ahead and dump the magazine. Let's see what happens here. Okay, well, looks like it's favoring left a little bit, but I can't quite see. Let's go up and take a peek. Okay, well, I'm happy to see I think I have all 11 shots on the target. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Looks like it's favoring left a little bit, pretty good elevation. I haven't benched this gun yet, so we'll do that next and see what happens. But I think this speaks well for both the consistency of the ammunition and of course the good quality Nighthawk custom gun that we're having the pleasure of shooting today. So, all right, let's settle in at the bench and see what we can do. Okay, we're set up at 20 yards, and I've got my EyePal on, so I'll be able to see the sights, and I've got 5 rounds of HST loaded in the gun, and so let's shoot a group and see what happens. Okay, gun safe. I might have pulled one. I'm not sure because I can't see. All right, let's go see. You know, I'd love to take credit for this, but I'm afraid I can't in all good conscience. I've got a terrific gun that we're shooting in that Nighthawk Custom. I believe this .30 Super Carry is inherently accurate ammunition, and I was cheating with my little EyePal thing. I imagine the only thing I contributed was I might have done my best to press the trigger. So I'm going to definitely call this a sub 1 inch gun at 20, 25, probably 30, 40 yards. I'll be writing a feature for Guns Magazine later on, and I'll give this gun a really good ring out for that. So, you know, when we shoot from a ransom rest, that gives you an indication of what real accuracy is. And what we found is that if you take the 2 outside shots in any 5-shot group that you shoot from a wrist rest, that what you end up with is what's essentially what you'd get from a ransom rest. So if we take these 2 flyers out, we've got, you know, what's kind of a ragged one-hole group. And I think had I taken my time, I bet you that's where all 5 would have gone. So my hat's off to all these engineers. Well, thanks for sticking with us through the kind of longer than normal video, but there was a lot of information and I think a lot of it was important that you see. To wrap this up, I want to show you something. Here's some sample boxes of what the ammunition is going to be looking like when you see it on the shelf. They're going to have small 20-round boxes of the sort of high-performance ammunition, the HST and gold dot ammunition. They'll have 50-round boxes of what they sort of call the practice ammunition, you know, the 100-grain truncated metal stuff, full metal jacketed stuff. And so watch for your favorite brands available soon in your favorite store. So .30 Super Carry, and I think it's innovative. I think it actually has a place in the real world, and it's not the angels coming from on high and solving all of our problems, but I think it does address some sort of persistent little you know, things that we all have in the back of our brain about, do I have enough gun in my pocket? And I think if you have something like the .30 Carry in a small pocket-sized gun, you'll have higher velocity, solidly performing bullets, higher capacity, and very controllable ammunition. And I don't know what else we could ask for. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.